well, I just watched Marvel What If, and, I have some thoughts. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's me, Amanda, and that started kind of off weird. That was a weird start. That was episode 1. Of all the episodes they could have chosen, they chose that. They said, that's our episode 1. That's how we want to start this show. Interesting choice is what I would say. We're going to talk about Marvel What If, Season 3, Episode 1. I'm Amanda. You might know me as Vamp. That is also technically the name of my channel. And we're here to, discuss this because, I followed all of Season 2. And I did videos on all of those episodes. And, we're back for Season 3. I was excited, Season 3, return to form. Return to form. Give it to me. I enjoyed Season 1 the most. Season 2 had some good moments, but ultimately kind of fell on its face in the end. It just kind of tried to do what it did with Season 1 at the end, but do it all over again. And Season 3, it seemed like what they were saying was like, this is going to be individual stories, and then maybe there might be something at the end. There might be a little something at the end, but the rest of it's all just going to be its own thing. Spoilers ahead, and I mean, really, we're going to be talking spoilers past this point. Now, the one element of this episode that I did really enjoy is that this episode is its own thing. Yay, I like that. Check mark. Haha. However, that's where it kind of stopped. It's not really the actor's fault. All the voice work in this is really good as well, I would say. And this episode made me realize how much I need more Teyonah Parris in the MCU. Can we... we need more Monica Rambeau in general. Marvel, Monica Rambeau is such a great character, and you have Teyonah Parris playing her, and she's amazing. She's so underutilized. You know who else was underutilized in this episode? I'll tell you who. Moon Knight. Oscar Isaac. I didn't even know it was him until the end, and I was like, oh, that's who that was. They gave him like 2 lines, so I'm assuming he's going to be in more episodes in this season. Otherwise, that would be a waste, but at least he got to cash that check. There were elements of this story that I also liked. What if the Hulk fought the Mech Avengers? It's giving Avengers mech strike, especially with the designs of the mechs, and that is something I liked. However, I would say Avengers mech strike is better. Possibly also because it's written by Jed MacKay, and this is not written by Jed MacKay, so that might be part of the problem. But also because Avengers Mech Strike is, I believe, 5 issues. This is not as long as that. This is only like a 25-minute episode. And ultimately where I feel like this episode sort of really fails us is that it's trying to do a lot of big stuff in a small amount of time. It is all about the smashies in this episode. We're all about the action. And I do like the action, I do like the mechs, but the problem with action in a movie is if I have no emotional stakes, if there's no investment into the action, then the action just ends up falling kind of flat. And I feel like rather than spend the time to build the characters and the story in this episode, they instead decided to rush through those plot points to get to the action and make that the core of the episode. But because of that, they cut the action, they sort of sold the action short in the sense that we have no emotional stakes with the action, so it's just kind of like, well, that looks cool, but all right. Basically, this is Hulkzilla, the story. This is like Hulk. There's so many things that I have a problem with here, honestly. Oh my goodness. One of the things that I really didn't like about this was how Bruce decides to solve the Hulk problem. Bruce decides to solve the Hulk problem by hitting himself with more gamma, as though that's gonna fix the issue. Although, to be fair, I bet this is something Bruce has actually tried in the comics before. I wouldn't be super surprised. But the fact that we don't get to see why he thinks that's a good idea makes it feel really dumb. And the other thing that it sells short is that any of the emotional stuff it's building with the relationship between Sam and Bruce at the beginning, just as it feels like we're starting to actually gain steam with that relationship building, they have to cut to something else. So it's like they're in therapy, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel this. Like, this is feeling like a cool relationship is building between these two guys, and there's like a bond here, and I'm starting to feel like some emotions for Bruce. And then they're like, anyways, and now we're on the boat, and then they're on the boat, and it's like, oh, this is kind of nice. And then it's like, now we're he's the Hulk and he's jumping off. And then even in this episode, the whole idea of what creates this conflict, this break between Sam and Bruce, who were once close friends, who now haven't talked to each other in years since the Gamma Wars, is that we keep talking about the Gamma Wars, but we don't really get to see much of the Gamma Wars. We don't get to see the effects of the Gamma Wars. We talk about that a lot. It's very much a case of, it feels like almost talk, don't show, the opposite of what you want to do usually in any kind of film, whether that's animated or live action storytelling, which is also interesting in a story that seems to be predominantly focused on the action, because actions are very much stories. Like any action flick is very much a story where you don't want to talk about something and not show it. It's actually better to show it. I know that obviously we don't have enough time maybe to show all of the Gamma Wars, but I'm just saying, if that's a huge plot point, it doesn't have to be a lot, but you need to give us a moment for us to understand the impact of that in the world in this story. And I feel like it's just a lot of talk about how bad everything was, but we don't really get to feel any of it. I mean, yeah, people died. We get to see a little bit of that, but we see them also as mechs. You don't feel the loss. You don't feel any connection to it. We don't really have time to build anything in this story. Everything feels predictable because of that. Because, you know, we get this smoking gun, which ends up being the gamma bomb that Bruce chooses to drop at the end. And when he finally accepts himself, something else we don't get any closure on, any full realization of. We just see Bruce going from, no, I definitely can't be in this fight because I don't trust myself, or I don't trust that I have control, and I'm still afraid of this monster within me. I'm afraid of the Hulk, something that we see in the beginning. And he goes from that to being like, I'm just gonna drop the thing and I'm not afraid anymore. That's a beautiful idea of self-acceptance, but I would have loved to be on the journey. The bomb itself that he drops is something that is foreshadowed. He mentions it when Sam comes to visit him, when they ultimately end up finding out where Bruce has been hiding. And Sam comes in and he goes, whoa, that's a bomb and that's a nuke. And Bruce says, no, that's, don't worry about that. It is, but it's not active. And I was like, that's gonna be a solution, isn't it? And then it was. The only thing with smoking guns is I don't mind if I see them, but I would like a story to put them in such a way that I kind of might still clock them as someone who is obviously consumes a lot of media and watches a lot of stories and reads a lot of books and kind of sees these things usually coming because of my understanding of them. But in a story, you can still have me see that and recognize it in the moment, and then I forget about it through the course of the story, so that when they bring it back at the end, I'm like, oh yeah, the thing they introduced it, and that's satisfying to me. And, you know, some people that maybe haven't consumed as much of this stuff might not see it, and it'll be really rewarding for them because they'll be like, oh yeah, that's what that was. So that is something that I feel like we were robbed of in this, even though it was built in. It just wasn't enough time, and the way they set it up ultimately ended up not being rewarding in the end, because you saw it coming a mile away. And the mile, it was like literally 1 mile, because it was like, here's a thing, anyways, then we use it. Ultimately, the relationships in this, the character development, the story beats, everything just feels very rushed, which means the episode falls a little flat. Hulkzilla is a cool concept, but we're also not doing anything new with these characters. None of these characters feel like we're doing anything different with them, so it doesn't really feel like a rewarding what if, other than the design elements, which do look cool. The mechs look cool. The Hulk looks cool. I like his sort of Hulkzilla form with the tail. I thought that was really cool. So there's cool elements, but there feels like there's no real substance here. So ultimately for me, this episode just felt very meh. And then this is also our episode 1. They wanted to start with this. So then that doesn't give me a lot of confidence in the other episodes, because usually you want to start your series with a banger so that we're all excited for the next episode. Now, granted, I am excited for the next episode, because the next episode is What If Agatha Went to Hollywood? And I think that's going to be delightful and fun and funny, and I think maybe they didn't want to start with it because it is going to be more of a comedic episode, but I think the ones I'm most excited for this season, beyond, you know, getting some more Shang-Chi, which obviously I love Shang-Chi, very underutilized here, so is Moon Knight, so is everyone, but other than that, I think it's, you know, Agatha and Howard the Duck that I'm excited for. My overall rating for this one, it isn't bad, it's just kind of meh. So I don't know, I want to give it a 3 because it's just like mid, because I don't think they did anything specifically wrong. It just was kind of boring to me. but my heart is saying 2, so I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5, and I know that might seem a little harsh. It feels a little harsh to me, but I gotta go with my gut, because sometimes I don't, and then I regret it later, so I'm gonna say 2 out of 5, for the reasons I explained in this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. How are you feeling about, you know, what if season 3? I'm gonna start to it, and let me know, you know, where you're at with this. How are you feeling about season 2 and 1, and what energy you're bringing into this season? And does this episode, did you love it? Maybe you loved it. If you loved it, let me know. If you hated it, let me know. If you're just like me and you're like, yeah, let me know. And you can go check out some of my stuff for season 2 if you like. Obviously, I did a bunch of videos on that. Or you know, you could go watch my Morbius video, because I'm wearing my Morbin time. Thought, why not shout that out? It's a really old video, so if you want to see one of the first videos I did on this channel, go check it out. I'll put a link to it. I don't know. Might be fun for someone. It's Morbin time. Let's go. I'll see you next time. This episode reminded me of that, because it was not the strongest. Like Morbius, I was like, there's some things that could have worked here, but mostly, meh. I'll see you next time, and until then, friends, stay nerdy. Bye!